over the years, what we've discovered is that this is where people are getting their information, right, for the most part. So we have to play to the audience. For us to be able to work more efficiently with the dollars that we do have, we have to make sure that we're getting right to the consumer in the most direct way possible.
Hi, I'm Josh Owen. As the owner of a video marketing company in New Orleans, I've been on the quest to learn everything I can about marketing. Everyone has a different style, different strategy, and a different experience. Is there a wrong way to do it? A right way to do it? Let's find out together as we make marketing make sense. Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode of Make Marketing Make Sense. I'm joined by none other than the one, the only, Mark Romig, voice of the New Orleans Saints, but also marketing manager. Or is it creative marketing manager?
Chief marketing officer, chief bottle washer. Whatever they want me to do, I do it.
At New Orleans & Co.
That's right, New Orleans & Company.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, today we're here to talk specifically about your experience with the tourism market and all about how marketing has really shifted and changed throughout the years. So I'm really curious to just dive right in and get your perspective on how has at your work with New Orleans & Co., especially leading into more of this digital age, coming out of COVID, all these different things. How have things really shifted and changed to where we are today?
It's a good question, and it's great to be here and discuss something very close to my heart, and that is really messaging about New Orleans to the rest of the world. We have a great story to tell, wonderful people here, and as we've come to find out, every time we do research, people come to New Orleans because of the people, whether they're culture bearers, whether they're the people behind the front desk of a hotel or at a restaurant. It's something about the hospitality and the talent that we have here in this city, and really throughout the state of Louisiana, that makes our messaging a little bit easier, perhaps, but still very engaging and exciting. Over the years, what we've discovered is that this is where people are getting their information, right, for the most part. So we have to play to the audience. Though that certainly doesn't mean that we're not doing traditional advertising, television, newspaper, out-of-home billboard, but for us to be able to work more efficiently with the dollars that we do have, we have to make sure that we're getting right to the consumer in the most direct way possible. So several years ago, we were served up with an advertising program that called for us to come really out of the typical magazines that you'd see on a coffee table, whether it was a travel and leisure or food and wine, but go online and go into their digital space so that it could be a more shareable product. That means we're still in travel and leisure and food and wine and others, but we're in a space that allows for more transferring of that information. That then brought us into the world of influencers, understanding that there are experts in all the fields that are in New Orleans, whether it's museums, restaurants, the LGBTQ space, anything that has to do with gardens or sports, and there is an influencer for every subject. And our first foray into influencers was with mommy bloggers.
Oh, okay.
So imagine, New Orleans has never really been out there as a family destination. I mean, people think of Bourbon Street usually first and foremost, but we know that we have so many assets for families. So how do we want to break through in the marketplace to get that information out? So I'm taking you back to 2014.
Oh, gosh.
We thought we would reach out to about a half dozen mommy bloggers. Now, these are women that you basically hire to come in and visit New Orleans and then talk about their experiences. So they're blogging. They're blogging.
So this is like mommy bloggers as a thing?
Mommy bloggers.
All mommies, and there's mommy's bloggers.
These are female bloggers that have families, that travel, that will plan a trip, talk about while they're planning it, come to New Orleans, share their experiences at all these great sites and on the streetcar and City Park and the riverfront. And then when they get back home, they're sharing it again and saying, we had a great time. You need to come to New Orleans. And so we experimented with that first year, and it was a hit.
Really?
We were, and we choose those influencers because they have followers, thousands of followers. And so you're, basically buying into their audience.
And how do you know it's a hit with them? Like, what were you measuring it by?
Well, by the shares, by the audience that's following, and then we get reports back, and we have individuals that work with us that monitor their traffic.
Gotcha.
And again, we don't tell them what to say, but we know that once we get them here and we can show them an itinerary that they could follow,
Right.
we usually are getting a very good return. And so we discovered mommy bloggers, and then we discovered museum bloggers, and we discovered,
It was all, the
foodies.
floodgates were open.
Yeah.
at
So,
that
and
point.
again, it's not our only way of marketing,
Right.
but it's a surefire way of getting that third party,
Yeah.
affirmation.
Yeah.
And people listen.
Yeah.
They have their audiences, and so other people will share what they share, and it goes on and on and on. So that's one of the biggest things that I've discovered over the last several years is the shift to using influencers to get your message out. We can build
Right.
the basic building blocks of what the message should be. We have food, we have music, we have the hospitality,
Right.
we have the people,
Right.
we have a walkable city, probably the most walkable tourist destination in the United States, and
Definitely.
that leads us to say that we're built to host. The city is built to host.
Right.
French Quarter, Superdome, Riverfront,
Wherever you want to go,
warehouse
you got
district.
it.
You can
Yeah.
manipulate that pretty easily.
Yeah.
You come down here for a special event. There's few reasons why you need to take any other vehicle to get around. You can walk it.
Yeah.
So that has been probably the biggest change that I've seen over the years.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm always curious about too is when you see things change and you tried this thing out. How do you? I mean, obviously this is a whole new foray you're getting into. How do you know how to manage this? Is there pitfalls that you learn throughout the way that you're doing it? Like, what are some of the things that you kind of picked up when you started going deeper into influencers and working with influencers?
Yeah, well, certainly
pitfalls of it?
not all influencers are equal,
Right.
right? So you have to pick and choose because, again, we don't have unlimited resources to
Right.
be spending. So we want to make sure that we're spending appropriately so that we can report back to our board of directors. We're a nonprofit, so it's not as if, we can just be doing what we want to do. We have to have some return.
Right.
And so that's something that we monitor very carefully. It's also important that we think through the right spending position. How much do we put in social media? How much do we put into our website? Content creation, it's so important. If we can get someone to go to the website at neworleans.com and get
Yeah.
into our content, we see stats that person will spend maybe 17 hours longer in New Orleans
Right.
because they've gotten a better understanding as to many things that they can do.
Awesome.
So those are the things that we have to keep in mind is the correct spending, efficient spending, and trial by error in many ways. I mean, not everything's going to give you the return that you thought it was going to give you.
Right.
So when you plan again for the following year, look at what didn't work, put that aside, and focus on what is working.
Yeah, I guess that's a great point because what I'm curious about is especially these things that you learned, especially with influencers, some of the other techniques that are. I mean, obviously things are coming up more and more, but for local business owners, especially trying to tap into the same kind of. Obviously, they don't have. I mean, when we talk resources, they don't have the resources. What are some of the things that you've seen or kind of any kind of resources for them to be able to tap into that either New Orleans Co offers or really New Orleans Co promotes?
Well, we're a membership-based organization, so when you're a member of New Orleans & Company, you get all the resources behind New Orleans & Company to help you. We have a services department that when organizations, individuals are coming in to want to do events, whether it's a wedding, an out-of-town wedding, or something that gives people an opportunity to put together a convention or a meeting, our members are on the front line of getting opportunities to participate, and that's one of our services.
Yeah.
If you're a member of New Orleans & Company, you're going to be in our listing of our directory of services, and we support those members by giving them opportunities to bid on. We don't promise work to anybody, but we give them opportunities to put their best foot forward.
Right.
And so we're representing them. We also do a number of educational programs. Just this past week, we had what we call Tourism University, where
Oh, wow.
Andy Kutcher, who is our senior manager of social media, gave a seminar on sort of the 101s of social media.
Awesome.
How to work with Instagram,
Yeah.
how to work with your Facebook page, how to make it more effective. what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So we do these educational programs for our members so that they can become stronger in their own
Gotcha.
right. And then we're talking about our hospitality industry. We're bringing business into the city of New Orleans by all of the sales work that we do, whether it's convention sales, tourism sales, our messaging on our website, earned media, which means our communication PR department works with journalists from around the world to get stories placed about New
Right.
Orleans. All of that is competing with every other destination in the United States,
Right.
but our job is to get that spending into the city of New Orleans to help make our economy and our community stronger.
Right.
So that's, at the end of the day, that's why we get up in the morning.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love that. I guess and even to piggyback off of what you're saying, because I think all these resources, shout out to anybody out there. You got to go check out these resources from New Orleans & Co. But also, the thing that I'm really thinking of is honing in on specifically something that you're very knowledgeable on, which is tourism. So especially all these tourism-based businesses, French Quarter, even in the CBD, what are some like strategies that they could employ in their businesses to improve themselves for especially capturing more of the tourism market that's there?
Well, first and foremost, because we're a walkable city, there's a lot of traffic that's walking around the French Quarter, downtown CBD, and also into other neighborhoods. A program we did several years ago, a campaign program called Follow Your NOLA, enabled us to talk about all the neighborhoods and how much wonderful things you can do uptown, up Magazine Street, out in the east, in the Bywater, Mid-City, Lakefront, not only the French Quarter. I mean, there's so much the city offers. So being aware of when you have large groups coming into town, being aware of these special events, where they're located, capturing that foot traffic and capturing that audience, ensuring that your website, if you have one, is up to date and is relevant, has your times of operation, has an opportunity for people to contact you if they have questions. I mean, these are some basic things, but it's so important to be out there because people are relying on so many different ways to find information.
Right.
And I go back to pulling out my iPhone. That's probably the first and foremost place that people are finding information.
Right.
I mean, my mother uses her phone and her internet to get information now.
So anybody's out there.
I'm just saying it crosses all age groups, and I think being up to date on the ways that you're communicating is probably the most important thing. Working with an organization like ours, of course, is something that one can do. We like to talk about our members and get as much activity going on as possible. But I think being relevant in your social media space is the number one thing to do. Yeah,
I mean, and from what you guys are doing at New Orleans & Co., I guess what is, like, if you were to say, like, this is the best way to stay relevant, what would you say it is?
Yeah, posting your story as often as you can. If you've got a special of the week, if you've got something you want to highlight, people do tend to follow and look at reels.
Yeah.
TikTok is also another way to get into the market space. Again, it's utilizing social media so that people know how to find you.
Right.
Because you want them not only to find you, but they want to click. You want them to click on you. You want them to make the order, come by and visit, buy something, do something like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask these entrepreneurs, and I would never trade places with them because they put their heart and soul out there.
Right.
These families, lots of them, putting all their capital together to make this work, and it's tough. I know it's tough, and we had a tough year in 2023.
Yeah, definitely.
As you've heard, I'm sure. 2024, we're looking to be on the upswing, and we'll be there as much as we can to help the hospitality industry continue to grow.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's exciting times that we're living in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to hear, what you think about, dive in on what you think 2024 is going to be like. I mean, what are some things that businesses can expect?
Well, there's a lot of enthusiasm that we'll be building, kind of building now, but building really after the Las Vegas Super Bowl when the handoff comes to New Orleans.
Right.
And in February of 2025, we have the big game, the largest event in the world will be in New Orleans, and so you'll have the eyes of the world on the city as we count down and do the things that we should be doing if we're inviting people to our home. Right, this is our home. We want to make sure that we put our best foot forward. I think 2024 is the year of food. We have
we're getting more
Bocuse-
food?
We have more food to eat. Bocuse d'Or is here in June. It's the international competition of chefs. In this
Really?
particularly case
Okay,
around
that's
pastry.
cool.
That's right.
All right,
and it'll
sign
be
me
the
up.
first time ever.
You got any
held-
free tickets? I can
Well,
snag?
we'll make sure that we can get you covered.
Oh,
over there.
all right. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, all right,
It is
heard it here first.
it's the first time in North America that this event's being held, and it's being
Wow.
held in New Orleans.
Wow, that is
We're
wild.
very excited about
Look at
that. So
that.
the eyes of the culinary
Yeah.
world will be on the city.
Okay.
Of course, the iconic Jazz Fest.
Yeah, gotta
the
have it.
iconic French Quarter Fest.
Gotta have it.
We have the iconic Mardi Gras. By the way, just announced a $900 million economic impact just for
Wow.
Orleans Parish.
That is incredible.
That's what Mardi Gras brings.
Wow, that's
For
awesome.
every dollar the city spends
Yeah.
on sanitation and other city services, it's receiving over $2.50
Wow.
in return.
That's amazing.
I think the figure is $2.68 in return. Any city would make that kind of investment.
Yeah.
Plus, it allows us to export the culture of New Orleans around the world. And again, a city that has several festivals each weekend. Our convention calendar will be picking up. That's a very important segment of our community, because when those conventions come in,
Yeah.
they just don't come in and sit in the convention center.
Right.
They're buying product. They're buying AV. They're buying florist. They're buying
All local.
receptions, and all that money is being spread
Right.
around the city of New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I'm very optimistic about 2024.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that, and the other thing is I've noticed too a lot of the big concerts, especially hopefully coming back.
Well, that big one coming in October.
Yeah.
Sold out 3 nights. The
yeah.
city of New Orleans for that entire week
Wow.
will be.
That's it.
A Taylor Swiftitis.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a little scared. I'm a
Oh,
little
I think it's
skeptical.
great.
I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I think it's fantastic.
I don't want to get caught up in the hive mind.
Rolling Stones this spring at the Jazz and Heritage Festival.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Of course, the Sugar Bowl committee will do its college kickoff concert. They'll be announcing who that's going to be shortly.
That's wild.
Labor Day weekend. And, we'll have the Saints back. Pelicans
at
are
it.
doing well.
Yeah. It's incredible seeing the attendance of Pelican games
Yeah.
from where it was in 2019 going on up. So
And, also, I always want to say something about college football.
Yeah.
We don't talk too much about
Yeah.
what LSU brings and
Right.
what Tulane brings. And it's an amazing thing when LSU has a game in Baton Rouge, those people tend to visit New Orleans
Yeah.
as well. And
yeah.
Tulane is selling out as.
It's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess, to the last thing I'll ask about that is, obviously, the big elephant is the Super Bowl coming later. Do you kind of try and focus in on, do you try and build up now for that and save up, your marketing dollars to really go hard for that big event? Or do you kind of still try and hit as much as you can this year?
Yeah, we will still play in our markets, particularly the regional drive market. That's our sweet spot. The Super Bowl messages itself in many ways. You'll have national outlets talking about New Orleans.
Right.
We won't have to steer
You just
that.
sit back,
That's going to
relax,
happen. Well,
get a beverage,
we will want to make sure that they're telling the right story about
Right.
the city of New Orleans.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
only
true.
about the food and music. There's so much innovation
Yeah.
happening here. The rocket that's going to take us to the moon and Mars is being built here in NASA.
Wow,
I mean,
yeah.
when you think about that, the technology that's occurring at our hospitals and
Right.
with LCMC and Ochsner, our port, the work that's happening there, the new international container facility that's going to be built. I mean, there's a lot going on. So we'll want to position several stories that the national and international media can cover. But for the most part, the Super Bowl takes care of itself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes. There's a lot of money to be raised to put on the right show. But our marketing will continue. We'll have later this year, we'll announce a new refresh of the brand of New Orleans. We're working with Brand Society on that, and look for that sometime in the second quarter.
Okay. All right. We'll be on the lookout.
I'll come back
that's
and
what
talk
you
to
heard.
you about it if you
Yeah.
have
Well,
me
come
back.
on. We'll have you back on.
I'll do a
we'll
show and
share,
tell with the new brand.
We'll have a little big old
All right.
whiteboard here. You can write
Count
it
on
out.
it.
Slideshow presentation, everything. I love it. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining me
Pleasure.
and sharing, just a little bit of the wealth of knowledge that you have. But before I let you go, you got to let everyone know where they can find New Orleans & Co., where they can find Mark Romig on digital platforms.
Yeah, go ahead and find us at neworleans.com. That's the best way. From there, you can get all of our social media as well. And you can always reach me at mark@neworleans.com.
Perfect. Well, there you go. And thank you so much, man, for joining us. It's been another fantastic episode of Make Marketing Make Sense, and we'll see you all on the next one. This has been Make Marketing Make Sense, brought to you by Comfystone. If you need video content for social media, your website, or email marketing, hit up Comfystone at comfystone.com and follow Comfystone on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.